Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A cutting or thrusting weapon that has a long metal blade and a hilt with a handguard. Especially a leaf of grass or the broad portion of a leaf is distinct from the petiole. A cutting or thrusting weapon that has a long metal blade and a hilt with a handguard. Flat surface that rotates and pushes against air or water. A broad flat body part, as of the shoulder or tongue. A cut of beef from the shoulder blade. A dashing young man. Gay young blades bragged of their amorous adventures. Something long and thin resembling a blade of grass. A blade of lint on his suit. The flat part of a tool or weapon that, usually, has a cutting edge. The part of the skate that slides on the ice. A name given to a product or service. A symbol of disgrace or infamy. A piece of wood that has been burned or is burning. Mark with a brand or trademark. When this product is not branded, it sells for a lower price. To accuse or condemn or openly or formally or brand as disgraceful. Mark or expose as infamous. She was branded a loose woman. A cutting or thrusting weapon that has a long metal blade and a hilt with a handguard. A recognizable kind. There's a new brand of hero in the movies now. Burn with a branding iron to indicate ownership of animals. Identification mark on skin, made by burning. Get ready for something difficult or unpleasant. A cutting or thrusting weapon that has a long metal blade and a hilt with a handguard. An alloy of iron with small amounts of carbon, widely used in construction. Mechanical properties can be varied over a wide range. Cover, plate, or edge with steel. Knife sharpener consisting of a ridged steel rod. Any instrument or instrumentality used in fighting or hunting. Any projection that is thought to resemble a human arm. The arm of the record player. A division of some larger or more complex organization. The part of a garment that is attached at the armhole and that provides a cloth covering for the arm. Prepare oneself for a military confrontation. A human limb. Technically the part of the superior limb between the shoulder and the elbow, but commonly used to refer to the whole superior limb. Supply with arms. The U.S. armed the freedom fighters in Afghanistan. The part of an armchair or sofa that supports the elbow and forearm of a seated person. Any instrument or instrumentality used in fighting or hunting. He was licensed to carry a weapon. A means of persuading or arguing. He used all his conversational weapons. Any instrument or instrumentality used in fighting or hunting. A short, broad, slightly convex medieval sword with a sharp point. A stout sword with a curved blade and thick back. A straight sword with a narrow blade and two edges. Cut or injure with a saber. A fencing sword with a V-shaped blade and a slightly curved handle. A stout sword with a curved blade and thick back. Kill with a saber. Cut or injure with a saber. A fencing sword with a V-shaped blade and a slightly curved handle. A stout sword with a curved blade and thick back. Kill with a saber. A short, heavy, curved sword with one edge, formerly used by sailors. Fit snugly into. Tuck your shirt tail in. A straight sword with a narrow blade and two edges. Draw together into folds or puckers. A narrow flattened pleat or fold that is stitched in place. Eatables, especially sweets. Make a tuck or several folds in. Tuck the fabric. Sports. A bodily position adopted in some sports, such as diving or skiing, in which the knees are bent and the thighs are drawn close to the chest. A stick used instead of a sword for fencing. A sword with only one cutting edge. A sword with a broad blade and, usually, two cutting edges, used to cut rather than stab. A short, heavy, curved sword with one edge, formerly used by sailors. A sword used in the sport of fencing. A behavioral attribute that is distinctive and peculiar to an individual. The weaker part of a sword's blade from the forte to the tip. Used as a direction in music, to be played relatively loudly. An asset of special worth or utility. Cooking is his forte. Used chiefly as a direction or description in music, loud, with force. The forte passages in the composition. A musical composition or musical passage to be performed loudly. The stronger part of a sword blade between the hilt and the foible. The handle of a weapon or tool. The handle of a weapon or tool. The handle of a sword or dagger. The highest point, of something. At the peak of the pyramid. A V shape. The most extreme possible amount or value. Voltage peak. To reach the highest point. Attain maximum intensity, activity. That wild, speculative spirit peaked in 1929. The top or extreme point of something, usually a mountain or hill. The view from the peak was magnificent. A brim that projects to the front to shade the eyes. The highest level or degree attainable. The highest stage of development. The peak of perfection. The period of greatest prosperity or productivity. Be oriented. The weather vane points north. Sail close to the wind. Repair the joints of bricks. Point a chimney. Any of 32 horizontal directions indicated on the card of a compass. He checked the point on his compass. Be a signal for or a symptom of. Her behavior points to a severe neurosis. A specific identifiable position in a continuum or series or especially in a process. A distinct part that can be specified separately in a group of things that could be enumerated on a list. The main point on the agenda was taken up first. An outstanding characteristic. His acting was one of the high points of the movie. A V shape. The cannibal's teeth were filed to sharp points. A contact in the distributor. As the rotor turns, its projecting arm contacts them and current flows to the spark plugs. The dot at the left of a decimal fraction. Direct into a position for use. Point a gun. Indicate a place, direction, person, or thing, either spatially or figuratively. He pointed to the empty parking space. The property of a shape that tapers to a sharp tip. The gun muzzle's direction. He held me up at the point of a gun. A V-shaped mark at one end of an arrow pointer. The point of the arrow was due north. An isolated fact that is considered separately from the whole. A point of information. A wall socket. An instant of time. At that point I had to leave. A very small circular shape. A row of points. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. Give a point to. Intend something, to move towards a certain goal. A punctuation mark, placed at the end of a declarative sentence to indicate a full stop or after abbreviations. A brief version of the essential meaning of something. Get to the point. A distinguishing or individuating characteristic. He knows my bad points as well as my good points. A geometric element that has position but no extension. A point is defined by its coordinates. A linear unit used to measure the size of type, approximately 1/72 inch. A promontory extending out into a large body of water. They sailed south around the point. A style in speech or writing that arrests attention and has a penetrating or convincing quality or effect. Be positionable in a specified manner. The gun points with ease. Indicate the presence of game by standing and pointing with the muzzle. The dog pointed the dead duck. Mark, a psalm text, to indicate the points at which the music changes. Mark, Hebrew words, with diacritics. Mark with diacritics. Point the letter. 1% of the total principal of a loan. It is paid at the time the loan is made and is independent of the interest on the loan. Sharp end. He stuck the point of the knife into a tree. The object of an activity. What is the point of discussing it? The precise location of something, a spatially limited location. She walked to a point where she could survey the whole street. The unit of counting in scoring a game or contest. He scored 20 points in the first half. A V shape. Give a tip or gratuity to in return for a service, beyond the compensation agreed on. Remember to tip the waiter. Give insider information or advise to. He tipped off the police about the terrorist plot. Cause to topple or tumble by pushing. The top or extreme point of something, usually a mountain or hill. They clambered to the tip of Monadnock. Walk on one's toes. To incline or bend from a vertical position. Strike lightly. A relatively small amount of money given for services rendered, as by a waiter. An indication of potential opportunity. He got a tip on the stock market. Cause to tilt. Tip the screen upward. Mark with a tip. Tip the arrow with the small stone. Remove the tip from. Tip artichokes. The extreme end of something, especially something pointed. The legendary sword of King Arthur.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.